MrBeast is nothing new. You can basically equate him to MythBusters, but for dumb kids. Let me explain. Now stop. I know you're gonna get mad at me. I mean, for whatever reason, MrBeast is this beloved figure on YouTube, but come on now. He's just a capitalist looking for money. But okay, here's my disclaimer. Please just listen to what I have to say. I know I'm not MrBeast's target audience. I'm not 12 years old. But at least when I was 12 years old, I was smart and I was watching MythBusters. Anyway, please just hear me out, fellow fans of MrBeast. You see, MrBeast has been on YouTube now for 14 years, but it wasn't until 2017 when he really blew up on the platform. In 2017, the videos that really put MrBeast on the map and the videos that introduced me to MrBeast were what I call endurance challenge videos. Some of these include I counted to 100,000, reading the longest English word, and watching It's Everyday Bro for 10 hours straight. As you can see, MrBeast's early content was less about creative expression and more a means to an end. What kind of content can I produce to gain the most amount of views, the most amount of subscribers, and find the most success on YouTube? I mean, he even admitted to this himself.
Basically what I did was I somehow found these other like 4 lunatics. 3 of us were college dropouts, 1 was a high school dropout, and 1, I don't know, he just like quit his job. We all were super small YouTubers, and we basically talked every day for 1,000 days in a row and did nothing but just like hyper study like what makes a good video, what makes a good thumbnail, what's good pacing, like how to go viral. We would just get on Skype every morning, and like some days like I'd get on Skype at 7 a.m. and I'd be in the call until like 10 p.m. and then I'd go to bed and I'd wake up and I'd do it again. We'd do things like take 1,000 thumbnails and see if like there's a correlation to the brightness of the thumbnail to how many views it got.
In the beginning, you could have basically considered MrBeast the David Blaine of YouTube. That is, if David Blaine is some 18-year-old internet nerd who never left his room. After this early success, MrBeast used the money he had produced and started giving it away to people like Twitch streamers, homeless people, his mom, his friends. About half his content moving forward I would consider large dono videos. That's basically all they were about, giving away money.
In this video, $100,000 will be given to completely random Twitch streamers, swear on my life. And just to clarify, only $50,000 of this $100,000 is mine. I'm actually collabing with Mini Minter on this video, and so half of every donation is actually going to be him. He's doing $50,000, I'm doing $50,000, so together $100,000 will be donated in this video. If they win a game of Fortnite, they get $10,000. If they lose, the money gets carried over to the next person. So 3 people lose in a row, the 4th person gets to play for $40,000. You'll understand.
He also began mixing in some content that I can only describe as unnecessary abundance, shock, and awe. This includes videos like, I built a mansion using only cardboard boxes, trying to fly using only leaf blowers, I bought 1 Snickers bar from every Walmart. Riveting. Now these videos are kinda cute. They're kinda sweet. Just a guy and his friends having some fun, goofing around, getting up to some hijinks, while also doing, you know, some basic science experiments here and there. They're just having a good laugh. Fast forward about 5 years, and the budget for making these videos has skyrocketed to an ungodly amount. Yet the stunts and experiments that are taking place are just as much unnecessary abundance, shock, and awe. The content still doesn't have much of a backbone, to say the least.
This is a $1 billion super yacht, and it's big enough to hold an entire city on the water. How do humans build this stuff? And I'm gonna show you the difference between this and a $300 million mega yacht, a $50 million giga yacht, all the way down to this $1 yacht.
While some of his new content is admirable, like curing 1,000 people's blindness or 1,000 people's deafness, which are controversial on their own, but that's not the reason reason for me making this video. Every now and then, a MrBeast video will be recommended to me. I mean, he's YouTube's golden boy, of course they're gonna push his content. Most of the time I don't click on these videos because really I'm just not interested. I'm not the demographic, and I completely acknowledge that. But these two videos I did happen to click on. Now, it's not because I thought they would be entertaining by any means, but rather because I knew they would prove my already held beliefs about MrBeast. That belief being, MrBeast is MythBusters, but for dumb kids.
I don't really get along with women if like they don't love learning, they're not obsessive, they don't have a hobby, they don't like.
I have a challenge. I recreated every single. This is one of the dirtiest. This is the most expensive. I just bought that private. This is the largest slice of pizza.
The two videos in question are Train vs. Giant Pit and Lamborghini vs. World's Largest Shredder. Both of these videos are basically just a compilation of a bunch of different science experiments.
I just bought this train and it is currently barreling full speed towards that giant pit over there. This is the largest shredder in the world, and this Lamborghini's gonna fall in it.
MrBeast uses those words, science experiment, but I wholeheartedly deny that these have anything to do with science. And that's why I'm making this video. In Train vs. Giant Pit, the first experiment that takes place is blowing up my new house.
For this experiment, each of the boys will hide a dummy in my new house to see if it's even possible to survive.
Okay, first of all, can we please acknowledge that basically half the shit that comes out of MrBeast's mouth is supposed to like trick a 6-year-old into thinking whatever they're looking at is like super real and like totally legit and like actually happening the way it's described.
This is the most insane laser obstacle ever created.
And this is just one of many dangerous and extreme laser mazes that we built for this video. I built a giant death trap, which is just one of many traps we've built. And for every trap this contestant survives, he wins $100,000.
How am I supposed to get out of this? Hey, you want a hit? What? The roof!
Each of the boys will hide a dummy in my new house.
My new house? I mean, bro, we know that's not your house, and that's okay. You don't have to lie to us and say it's your house. But when you try to trick me into thinking it is your house, acting like I'm some 6-year-old, like, I can watch this without being tricked into thinking this is your real house. But when you do try to trick me, I click off right away. And that's why I'm making this video. So a big difference between MrBeast and my comparison for today, which is MythBusters.
But when Carrie put on her big boobs, the average tip increased to $1.23. That's significant. Woo!
Is that MrBeast makes videos that are chronically for the Zoomer brain, even the alpha brain, which is considerably worse than the Zoomer brain.
I recreated Willy Wonka's chocolate factory in real life. And one of these 10 people is gonna walk away with this chocolate factory. Yeah! In we go. Whoa! Wow! Yo! Welcome to my wonderful creation. Look at the river! It's a chocolate door. Oh, he's taking a bite out of our door.
That's good.
In Train vs. Giant Pit, for example, the first experiment where they blow up my new house happens within the first 60 seconds of the video. Likely weeks of work put in to 60 seconds of content. There's absolutely no build-up, no explanation, no hypothesis. It just happens before I can even comprehend what I'm looking at. And within 60 seconds, they are already soy-facing hard. Now, there is some science to the experiment, sort of. The idea is to put these dummies around the house and find a place where they won't be as injured. You know, hide them in the fridge or like under a cabinet or something and see what happens when they explode. However, there's absolutely no process to it, no reasoning behind it. They basically hide these dummies, the science of the experiment, in like 10 seconds.
Each of the boys will hide a dummy in my new house to see if it's even possible to survive.
Water and fire don't mix. My mannequin is going to survive.
Mine's in the fridge.
Go in, come on.
I make the connection to MythBusters because in a lot of their experiments, they use these crash test dummies. They use them as a cute little prop just to see whatever experiment they're doing and what effect it has on the human body. It's like, oh, his neck broke. He lost a hand. Yeah. But at the very least, these experiments by MythBusters, they actually do have a backbone. They're testing how landing on a mattress from a high altitude can affect the human body, or how falling into a body of water from a high altitude can affect a human body. Sure, there's plenty of soy facing going on, but hey, at least there's some substance to the experiment. You're allowed to soy face at least a little bit, as long as the experiment you're doing somehow has a backbone. Somehow not just shock and awe. At least I'm learning something. Thank you, MythBusters. Let's jump to Lamborghini vs. World's Largest Shredder, shall we? Once again, in the very first 60 seconds of this video, they've already completed a science experiment that likely took weeks of preparation and could have been its own video entirely. There's no build-up, no explanation, no hypothesis, no reason for the madness. Simply a large domino made out of shipping containers crushing a 7-Eleven. A real 7-Eleven, by the way.
All right, that was the tallest domino in the world. That was the new tallest domino in the world. Go! Down goes the domino. Oh my God! That was insane.
Riveting. And the funny thing is, MythBusters already did this experiment, albeit it wasn't as well executed as MrBeast's was, because frankly, MythBusters probably had a much smaller budget than MrBeast does for each of his videos. But at least they made a 6-minute video out of it, and it didn't cause me to lose brain cells. Now, I know exactly why MrBeast chooses to cram this 60-second science experiment at the beginning of his videos. It brings me back to my original point, where every decision MrBeast makes for his videos is not a creative decision, but rather it's a type of analytical, meticulous decision that's made simply for the algorithm. He's stated multiple times on several different podcasts and things that every decision he makes for his channel is all about growth, growth, growth.
Since I was 13, there probably hasn't been a single hour that's gone by that I've been awake where I haven't thought about YouTube. I'm just focused on making the best videos possible, period. I don't care about making money. I don't care about time. I don't care about anything. I just want to make the best videos on the planet. Literally all the algorithm does is reflect what the people want to a T. And if you deny that, you just make terrible videos and are trying to find a scapegoat. We do our videos in other languages as well. If you Google it, it's like only less than 10% of the world speaks English. So 90% of the world can't even enjoy your content. And when I realized that, I was like, wait a minute. 90% of the world can't even watch this stuff.
Kind of the same way that Rhett and Link made this media empire and kind of burned it to the ground because they hired so many people that by the end of the day, they weren't really making a lot of creative decisions. They were just the ones doing the performance art on stage. But I think that's for another video. So MrBeast makes these quick 60-second intros to his videos that could be their own standalone video. But because he's obsessed with the algorithm, he must sacrifice high-quality artistic expression for high-quality analytics. Following the domino experiment, we have yet again another random explosion experiment.
All right, we're in the green zone. This is gonna be a massive explosion. It's getting closer. Any second
I don't know
now.
when it's gonna happen.
Oh, I'm scared. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
I'm speechless.
I'm still processing that.
That was insane.
In the end, they finally shred the Lamborghini. And apparently it's the coolest thing they've ever seen.
This is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
But it's really not, because it didn't even work.
I think we need to push it down.
It's stuck on the Lamborghini tire, so the crane's gonna push it down. Whoa!
And the only reason people care about it is because, oh, expensive car. We're destroying it. Okay. It didn't even work. The whole point of crushers, these crusher videos, is that it's satisfying. The hydraulic press videos, they're satisfying. Nothing about this Lamborghini in a crusher was satisfying. Give me a break. MrBeast has this really weird obsession with money, where basically every video or idea he comes up with either has to involve the destruction of incredibly expensive items or forcing people into incredibly torturous activities in exchange for a large amount of money. It's pretty gross, not only because he's pandering to his very young audience and making them obsess over money even more than they already are, but he also uses the incentive of money in a late-stage capitalist world in order to get working-class people to perform strenuous activities, all for the sole purpose of MrBeast's economic gain. Now, there are laws in Hollywood that basically make it so you have to pay participants of a show, even if they don't win the prize of said show. On Survivor, for example, even if you don't win the game, or if you get 3rd place, or even if you get like 20th place, you still walk away with some money. It's anywhere between a few thousand to like $10,000. You're still paid for your time because you made that production company money with your likeness and your time. And on a show like Big Brother, everyone is paid, like Survivor, but it's based on how long you're there. And reportedly, it's about $1,000 for every week you survive on the show. However, when it comes to YouTube shows, something that's relatively new in the grand scheme of things, these labor laws haven't quite caught up to it yet. This has allowed companies like Cut and Jubilee, 2 channels that are massively famous and known for giving out large amounts of money as a prize, to be able to bypass these laws and not pay any of their participants a minimum base pay. Reportedly, people show up to their soundstage, they kind of hang out for a little while, could be hours at a time, and when the time is right, they're brought onto stage, they shoot for a little while, and if they don't win the prize, they just walk home empty-handed, even though they use their likeness and their labor to make this production company a lot of money, because these videos, they make millions and millions of dollars. Trust me. Now, I couldn't find anything about whether or not MrBeast abides by these laws or not. So everything I'm saying now is just speculation, okay? Okay, MrBeast, I'm speculating. You know that ultra popular Korean Netflix show that used the concept of grand prize game shows to critique capitalism? People would be so desperate to make money because they were in such debt that they basically gave over their life in order to compete for a large grand prize, all for the sole purpose of entertaining a small group of men who hid behind masks. And then MrBeast saw that and he was like, wow, this would make such a great video. I gotta get on that.
I recreated every single set from Squid Game in real life, and whichever one of these 456 people survives the longest wins 456 grand.
Obviously, it's not a direct comparison. I mean, these people aren't locked away forever and die. But isn't it at least a little bit gross? When wealth inequality is at an all-time high, you have to imagine that a lot of these contestants are likely in a very dire monetary situation. And while they're not risking their life to come on this show, they are at least giving up their time in order to compete in this game. And only one person will win, leaving everyone else empty-handed and ultimately wasting away a day where they could have gone to a job, where they could have made money, but rather they competed for a large amount of money, all for the sole purpose of MrBeast's economic gain. But MrBeast doesn't care about that. I mean, the video got 500 million views, and it likely made him a few $1,000,000 alone. Another instance of where I had this really gross feeling from a MrBeast video was the video titled "Ages 1 to 100 Fight for $500,000.
Behind me are 100 people, and they range from the age 1 all the way through age 100. And I've trapped each of them in their very own glass cube. The last one to leave their cube is going to win $500,000. The challenge has officially begun. Let's see which age is the best.
Bro had like 90-year-olds sitting in a cage just like dying. They were just like their token 90-year-old.
It's the start of day 2 and only 76 people remain.
Let's see how the 100-year-old's doing. How's it going?
I'm awake.
It's the start of day 2. Do you want to keep going or do you want to get out?
I think I'm gonna quit. It's something my family will never forget.
He fought in a World War and competed in a MrBeast video.
He was basically just using them as a prop at that point. But I'm only speculating. I mean, maybe he does pay all of his participants a base pay for the day. I mean, I don't know. He's apparently Jesus. He must be doing something good. And all of that brings me to my final critique of MrBeast, something that is not speculation. And that is his current video that he is supposedly working on. MrBeast tweeted this out about a month ago now. Would you spend 100 days in this room with a random stranger for $500,000? Door is unlocked. If one of you leave before day 100, you both lose. I'm about to run this experiment. Let's see how they do. Now I wholeheartedly believe this is happening as we speak. There are people locked away in a room right now, likely in desperate need for money, but they're willing to basically lose half of their consciousness in order to win this amount of money because they are so desperate in this capitalist world. I mean, this is so incredibly unethical because what MrBeast doesn't realize is that people will literally do anything if there's a chance that they're going to win a large amount of money. They will literally sit in this room where there is no daylight, no sense of time whatsoever. They'll ruin their consciousness, they'll ruin their life, they'll change. They'll be a completely different person when they come out of here. But they either really need the money or they really want to be a part of a MrBeast video. MrBeast is basically using this dire financial situation that this person is in order to produce some type of compelling experimental video for his own gain. This reminds me a lot of that Japanese game show. It's pretty old now at this point, but this man was basically given nothing but an apartment. He didn't even get clothes. And all the items he was granted and allowed to like live in, like basic shit that he needed to live, he had to obtain through mail-in sweepstakes. So for like days on end, he was like naked until he was able to win a couple prizes. Obviously, this guy went like crazy because he had no contact with the outside world. I don't think he was able to perceive whether it was day or night. It was like a cubicle type thing. I don't even think it was like a real apartment. Vsauce actually did a similar science experiment for his YouTube original show Mindfield, where he isolated himself in a room where he had no windows, no clocks. He wasn't able to perceive whether it was day or night or time at all. He was given no sunlight or anything. Not a lot of entertainment, maybe zero entertainment. But within a very short period of time, he had to end the experiment. I believe shorter than they had originally intended on going for. Because ultimately he just started going crazy and like he lost sense of everything. He was just like turning into someone different. And it became just so dire that they needed to end it early.
You started the video off by saying some people could even get brain damage from cutting off all their senses, essentially. I guess all you're doing is seeing the color white in this white room. What was that like? 3 days?
Looking back on it, it feels like it was nothing. Like I feel like I barely spent any time in there. Every moment felt the same as the last one, so there was no sense of time passing.
Right.
I only lived in the present. I think I said at one point that it felt like maybe how a bug experiences reality. You're just here, and there's no future and there's no past. It was weird to have these moments of like, my gosh, I just live in this eternal moment. When I came out, my heart was racing. I was just so like overwhelmed by suddenly all these people and lights and like the world again, that my blood pressure was off the charts and I was like way more focused.
And that's because isolation from the day and night cycle, specifically like the sunlight telling your body that it's time to wake up and things like that, it's incredibly important. And without it, you can basically just lose all sense of what it means to be a human being. It's a seriously dangerous activity that I don't think MrBeast truly understands the scope of. However, the people he's using in this experiment to grow his views and his subscribers and ultimately put more money into his pockets are likely aware of the dangerous downsides to this experiment. Yet they are so desperate for this money that they are willing to subject themselves to torturous activities that will ultimately change who they are as a person permanently, all for the sole entertainment and economic gain of a few men that hide behind masks. At the end of the day, MrBeast is a YouTube capitalist, someone who does every trick under the sun in order to boost their analytics, even if that means sacrificing their overall creative expression. Hopefully MrBeast soon learns that art is intrinsic to what it means to be a human being, even when said art is not monetized. Money may soon be a thing of the past, but as long as humans are on this planet, art is forever. Thanks for watching North Star Radio. This program is supported by viewers like you. Peace and love.